Have you ever heard of a country called the Rome of Africa or the North Korea of Africa? A country where women outnumber men 3-1, drinking coffee is considered a sacred tradition, and along its shores, rusted war tanks remain. Yes, we're talking about Eritrea. But is this country really as mysterious and secretive as some say? Join us today as we take a unique journey into this unknown land. Eritrea is a small but influential country in the Horn of Africa. It borders Sudan, Djibouti, and Ethiopia, and to the east, it reaches the Red Sea. Interestingly, this country has over 350 islands, some of which, like the Dahlak archipelago, are home to the most beautiful coral reefs in the world. But here's the more surprising part. Eritrea has never conducted an official census. Its population is estimated to be between 3.6 to 6.7 million, but no one knows for sure. Asmara, the Rome of Africa, soft Italian music. Images of clean streets and European architecture in Asmara. Imagine walking in the heart of Africa. But instead of busy streets and traditional markets, you see Italian buildings, classic cafes, and European churches. This is Asmara, the capital of Eritrea, a city often called the Rome of Africa. But why? What makes this city so special and different? An Italian city in Africa. Images of Italian buildings with classic columns and decorated balconies. It all goes back to the colonial era. In 1890, the Italians occupied Eritrea and made it their first African colony. But Mussolini, the dictator of Italy, had an ambitious plan. He wanted to build a completely Italian city in the heart of Africa, and to achieve this, he sent architects and engineers from Europe to Asmara. The result? Over 400 European-style buildings were constructed, including cathedrals, classic cinemas, Art Deco gas stations, and Italian cafes. Images of quiet, clean streets in Asmara, with locals drinking coffee. Today, if you walk through the streets of Asmara, you'll still feel like you're in an old Italian city. The beauty of Asmara, a city frozen in time. Images of beautiful squares, Asmara Cathedral, and the Imperial Cinema. One of the most fascinating parts of the city is the Imperial Cinema, an old hall with unique architecture where classic films are still shown. You can also visit the Asmara Cathedral, a building with a tall bell tower constructed in the Tuscan church style of Italy. Images of an Art Deco gas station. But perhaps one of the most interesting sights in Asmara are the unique, untouched Art Deco gas stations. Asmara's cafes, the aroma of coffee in African streets, images of locals drinking coffee in a classic cafe. One thing that sets Asmara apart from other African cities is its coffee culture. Eritreans are known for having some of the best coffee in Africa, and drinking coffee here is a daily tradition. Many old Italian cafes are still active, and you can enjoy authentic Italian espresso in them. Is Asmara worth visiting? If you love historical cities, unique architecture, and different experiences, Asmara is undoubtedly one of the most unique cities in Africa. Quiet streets, amazing architecture, hospitable people, and of course, the best coffee in Africa, all make Asmara a special destination. The tank graveyard, the wartime memories of Eritrea. In the heart of Eritrea's scorching desert, far from the bustle of cities, there's an eerie and shocking sight. Hundreds of tanks, armored personnel carriers, and military vehicles abandoned in the sand, rusted and broken. This is the tank graveyard, one of the symbols of Africa's toughest wars. But where did all these tanks and military equipment come from? What war caused such a scene to unfold in this corner of the world? years of war for independence. Graveyard goes back to one of the longest and bloodiest wars of the 20th century, the Eritrean War of Independence, 1961 to 1991, a battle that lasted 30 years and changed the fate of this country. At the time, Eritrea was a colony of Ethiopia, and Eritrean forces fought to free their country from Ethiopian rule. This long war, fueled by support from global powers on both sides, became a complicated and deadly conflict. Russian, Chinese, and American tanks in a desert. During the war, Ethiopia received support from the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc countries. The result? Thousands of Russian, Chinese, and other military tanks and equipment were sent to the front lines in Eritrea. In contrast, Eritrean forces, with far fewer resources, had to rely on guerrilla tactics. But in 1991, Eritrea triumphed and gained its independence. After the victory, many of the destroyed tanks and military equipment were left behind and abandoned in the deserts. Today, a war museum in the desert now, this site has turned into a historical memorial and open-air museum. Tourists and history enthusiasts from around the world come to see the remnants of one of Africa's longest wars up close. But perhaps the most surreal sight is the children playing on these rusted tanks, as if no war ever occurred here. A monument to a history full of pain. The tank graveyard of Eritrea is not just a collection of scrap metal. It's a symbol of resistance, war, and ultimately, the freedom of a nation. What do you think? Would you like to visit this historic site? Let us know in the comments. Eritrean women, beauty and strength. Eritrea, a country known for its wars and resistance, has a story of its women that is more than just about beauty. Here, women are not only symbols of elegance but also of courage and strength. Unique beauty, a blend of history and culture. Eritrean women come from different ethnic groups like Tigrinya, Bilen, and Saho, each with their own unique beauty and style. Physical features of Eritrean women: warm skin tones, ranging from brown to golden thick, voluminous hair often braided in traditional styles, deep eyes that hold untold stories. Their traditional attire, known as shara, is a white fabric with colorful borders, worn during various ceremonies. Warrior women, strength at the heart of Eritrea, images of women in military gear with guns alongside male soldiers. But beauty is not the only thing that makes Eritrean women special. They are among the few female groups in the world who fought side by side with men during the War for Independence. During Eritrea's 30-year war with Ethiopia, 1/3 of the guerrilla fighters were women. They wielded weapons, participated in tough military operations, and played a crucial role in liberating their country. Today, these women are symbols of strength and resilience in Eritrea. The role of women in modern Eritrean society, images of Eritrean women in universities, workplaces, and national celebrations. Despite the long wars, Eritrean women never stopped. Today they play vital roles in society. Doctors, teachers, and engineers, shaping the future leaders and activists, fighting for women's rights. Mothers raising the next generation with love and strength, a blend of grace and bravery. Eritrean women are like flowers in a harsh desert, beautiful, resilient, and full of life. They have proven that real strength lies in the heart and soul, not just in the arms. Some say Eritrea is the North Korea of Africa. But why? There's no independent media in the country, and all news is controlled by the government. Military service in Eritrea is compulsory and unlimited. Some people are forced to stay in the army for 30 years. Ordinary citizens have no access to the internet. and even tourists need permits to leave the capital. But with all these restrictions, is traveling to Eritrea a unique and different experience? Definitely, yes. If you travel to Eritrea, you must try this. It's a fermented sponge bread served with a variety of stews like sebi shiro, chickpea stew, and sebi zegni, meat stew. Additionally, coffee in Eritrea is a traditional and spiritual ritual. They believe that drinking 3 cups of coffee during special ceremonies brings blessings and good luck. Now a question. If you had the chance to visit Eritrea, would you be ready to experience this country up close? If yes, type 7 in the comments. If no, type 0 in the comments and tell us why. And if you want to know more about Eritrean women and ways to get to know them, type 4 in the comments so we can talk about it in future videos. Thanks for being with us. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future episodes.